What is up, everybody? It's your host, Drew from the Drewsperience. I am back from Asia, even though it's almost been a month. But listen, it was the greatest trip ever, and we're hitting the ground running. 2026 is only 2 weeks old, but so much has happened in the world going on. Everything's changing, and today we're finally doing it. So make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe button to the podcast, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, link in bio. And today's guest, I'm joined by someone that is super important to me in politics. She's a lovely woman. She's a devoted mom. She's an advocate for women in politics and empowerment, and she's also an advocate for special needs, and that's why I wanted to have her on. I'm so happy that she won in 2022 as the M&A for Darcy McGee. I'm joined by the one, the only, the legendary and epic Lizzie Prass. Welcome to the show, Elisabeth.
Thank you so much for having me, Drew. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Well, it's a big honor to have you. This has been months in the working since I met you, and we have a big year ahead, and that's why I want you to be the first provincial. Look, I'm sorry, Enrico Ciccone. Oh, we got a guest, by the way. We got Elan, her son, so he might pop in here. Don't worry, we're improving. That's the point of this when you're your own one-man show. You can do what you want. But anyways, I'm sorry, Enrico. I know like you were the first one, but Liz is the first one for 2026 because of timing. But anyways, it's great to have you because we have so much to cover for 2026. So first of all, how was your holiday season before we get down to the nitty-gritty?
It was great to be able to have some time with family, some time to decompress, some time to put the phone away and on the side and just enjoy each other. So it was really nice. It was a rough ending to 2025. So I think having some time together with our families and just be able to do our own thing was very, very helpful.
That's amazing. And, obviously it was a very turbulent year. We had a federal election. We had a leadership race for QLP. Then we had the controversial Bill 2, which you've been a fierce, and I mean fierce with a capital F, as a noun, adjective, and verb, fighting to keep the doctors in Quebec because we're having a crisis, honestly. But we'll get to there. We'll circle back to that. But first, before we get there, how did you get involved in politics? Because before you got involved, what your predecessor was David Birnbaum, the amazing David Birnbaum, who fought valiantly for Anglo rights and Darcy McGee. And what led you to become his successor, if that's the right term?
Sure. So I actually got involved with the QLP since 2006.
Amazing.
My first job in politics was as the political advisor for Status of Women.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually lived in Quebec City between 2006 and 2011. I was at the research department, I did translation, and then I did 4 years as a policy advisor for the Ministers of Economic Development. So it really gave me a wonderful chance to understand how Quebec politics works really from the inside. Then I took 3 years off to have my two boys, and then came back and actually ran this office for David for a few years before going to Via Rail and then coming back. And when I was approached to run, what really motivated me was, as you mentioned, I have a son with special needs, and I wanted to be a voice for those families who often feel like they don't have a voice. So I feel very privileged to be able to represent that community.
That's beautiful, and obviously, you learn. What I love there is that you had experience both in the public sector and the private sector, which really gives you the knowledge for understanding how, when you're in Quebec City, how the system and mechanisms work, and then you take that to the private sector, and you could probably see similarities between the two that gives you the toolkit and knowledge to get to where you are now.
Absolutely, and it's bringing all of those experiences together, and having worked in Quebec City in cabinet, and also having worked here for David, gave me a sense of what it is to be an M&A, what it is to deal with your local constituency and go to events and to deal with people's needs, but also what it is to be in Quebec and to have the more legislative aspect of what we do.
Beautiful. Now, obviously, because you said it yourself, that you are a staunch advocate for getting women in politics, whether they're liberal, whether they're conservative, whether they're NDP or QS. What does that mean to you when you see women from different backgrounds get involved in civil service? What's the significance? How important is that to you?
Well, half the population is female, and so I think that you need that representation too. We all, whether men, women, whatever our background is, we all have something unique to bring to the table. And I think that women have a different way of approaching certain things. So you need that perspective as much as you need a male perspective, because a government is there to represent all of the population. And so I think that needs to be reflected in the amount of women and men who are present in government.
I definitely agree with that. There's so many brilliant minds out there from women that we see, like yourself. We have like Michelle. How do you say her last name?
Setlakwe.
I can never say it. I'm sorry, Michelle. I hope I'm not barred from interviewing you because of this. So thank you Liz, for having my back there. We had Mara Rizki, we had, as I said, yourself. We've had plenty of other predecessors too that we see, and they've just been amazing voice. And Desiree, of course, our favorite Desiree, who I call her your wing woman, because you guys are like, you guys are like so in sync together. Like, we love it.
Yeah, no, and it's lovely to have colleagues like that. It's not always easy to do what we do, and to know that we have each other to lean on, and to be able to, we're going through the same thing at the same time is very, very comforting.
Very true. So obviously, too, you said, one of the biggest changes in your life was when you had your two little boys, Elon, who is like, I think has been the greatest experience for you because he's special needs. When you found out he was special needs, how did it change your perspective as a mother? But how does he help you keep your perspective or change your perspectives while serving while serving your constituents?
So Elon was diagnosed when he was 1, and it was difficult initially because all you want when you have a child is for them to be happy and healthy. And what we came to realize is just because he had his diagnosis didn't mean that he wasn't those things. He's still happy and he's still healthy. And it definitely made us approach parenting differently and understand that our reality was going to be different, but always from a place of love and from wanting the best for him. So we have to adjust the way we function sometimes, but again, always with the goal of, seeing things through his eyes too. And like you said, what he brings to me is he reminds me of the purity of humanity, and just how often in life we overthink things and we give things sometimes more importance than they should have, just because that's the way we perceive things. But definitely Elon makes me realize the small things in life are important, and he's going to come in and tell us.
Yeah, he might come in. So like, I know, like, people are like, what's going on? Well, Elon is gonna be the star of the show today too.
He's going to do cameos.
He's going to do cameos. So please, just so you know, Elon is a star too. So Liz asked me about this, and I said, of course, because I'm a big advocate for special needs too. Because as you know, I was mentioned in the Senate by Senator Leo Sakos.
Yep.
So that's why I got to show, like, the special needs community their value too. And I saw you at the Friendship Circle.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Vice President David Torchman.
Yep.
So like, what does it mean having like the Friendship Circle, like as an outlet for Elon and his abilities, so to say? How important is that organization to you?
The Friendship Circle is fantastic because it gives, as you may know, they started a bakery.
Amazing.
About a year and a half ago called De l'Ami, where they're taking young adults who are on the spectrum and giving them this skill and this ability to be able to not only bake they do challah and they do babka, and then to sell it. So it's a source of pride for them to see that something you made is now being bought by someone else. That's an accomplishment. The Friendship Circle gives people the opportunity, whether it's kids or young adults, to feel like it's exactly what the name says, Friendship Circle. Everybody, the value of friendship is so important, and being with somebody and being able to share an activity is, very, it reverses isolation. It's the opposite of isolation. So the Friendship Circle is a place that's full of love, that's full of realizing that everyone has their own ability, and making that the star of the show, if you will.
That's amazing. And it was great to see you there in November, like, for that event. And I know, like, they said, Drew, we want you there too. I'm going to come soon, guys. It's just with my schedule, it's tough, but I support the Friendship Circle. And I think if you have a special needs child, please send them there. Liz can tell you, I can tell you, you're in good hands with the specialists there. And they will help your child or children who have special needs find their calling and abilities in life.
Absolutely.
So obviously we got to take it to now that you're an MP. Obviously you've been in the incumbent now since 2022. Time flies. It really does.
It does.
I can't believe already it's 4 years. And I remember one thing that we've seen with Bill 2, it is so controversial, this bill, because you've been so fierce about it. The QLP has been the fiercest advocate for it. For those who don't understand, and they're saying, like, why is Bill 2 in the news? What is the reason why Quebecers should care about the dangers of Bill 2?
We are currently missing 2,300 doctors in Quebec. Wow. We've heard for years promises of everyone's going to have a family doctor. We know when the CAC arrived that they were going to reduce wait times in emergency rooms to 90 minutes. Everything has gone in the opposite direction. There are more people in Quebec without doctors than there were 7 years ago. It's much longer to go to the ER now than it previously was. So when we're missing 2,300 doctors and the government puts forth a law that is discouraging people from being doctors, we're doing the exact opposite of what we need to do. Instead of encouraging them and giving conditions where they feel that they're being fulfilled and they can take care of their patients the way that they want to, with Bill 2, the government was putting a burden on doctors where if the system didn't achieve its goals, doctors would be penalized. So it's not based on your individual performance, it's based on the performance of a system. And the system is ran by the government, but the onus is on the doctors. So you can't have it all. So doctors rebelled, and we saw a lot of doctors take early retirement. We've seen doctors leave the province to take jobs elsewhere because every province, every country is trying to attract doctors, and we're giving them every reason to leave. So very happy that the government did suspend the bill after, as you said, and the QLP is the only party that said that we would suspend the bill and we would renegotiate with the doctors. The PQ and QS both said that they would keep the bill and then work around it. We were the ones who said that it should be suspended, and it eventually was. But the harm was already done. There are doctors who left. There are doctors who retired. And a lot of medical students that felt really discouraged by, do I really want to be a doctor in this province knowing that this is the kind of government I'll be dealing with?
Yeah, and like just to say, like one of my friends who I had to bring up to you today since we're recording, she has a special needs son like Elon, and with a developmental disability too. He lost she lost his doctors, and now she's contemplating even moving out of the province to get the specialist needed, because it's like your kid is your life. Like, you know, you want to make sure that they get the best specialists in order. So I wanted to bring that up, and you know, so that way you guys keep fighting it, because I'm very worried if the PQ, with the election coming up, the PQ is going to try to bring in a new reformed version of it that's just going to be even worse or zombified.
Yep, agreed.
So that's amazing, you know, that you're doing that. And QLP, thank you for that, because honestly, like, we need our doctors. Like, I mean, I have a doctor. I needed one for my reasons with work, and it's like we're the fact that the exodus continues. It's like we need to find a way to make it appealing to be a doctor in Quebec. You know, yes, we understand the French is important, but we need to find a way to not mitigate, but in terms of like find a way where the doctors can succeed without like the stringent laws in a way.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it has to be about the patient. And if the government really cares about the patient, then they're going to make sure that the staff that's around them, whether it be nurses, whether it be doctors, specialists, feel like they have the ability to properly give the care that they want to.
Amazing. So there's that, and you've been, as I said, a big advocate for it. So 2026, you know, we're having a big year. We had 2025 was a roller coaster, so to say, and you know, we don't want to focus on the past. But yesterday we were at an event in Yamishish. I cannot say it. I'm to the residents of Yamishish. I apologize. My pronunciation is not good, but thanks to Liz here, she's helping me out. So Yamishish, which is like around Trois-Rivières and Shawinigan, we had the announcement that Charles Millard, who finished second in the leadership race, is going to be the leader. And what does it mean to you to have Charles as a leader of the QLP? What does he give QLP, you feel?
Well, I think that Charles, first of all, will be great standing toe-to-toe with PSPP. They're both around the same age. They're both I think that they're both two people who are extremely intelligent and have very forward-thinking ideas. But I think that Charles, as a federalist, as somebody who, I mean, especially in the era of Trump, when we see a new world order, everybody's trying to find allies, and the Parti Québécois wants to isolate Quebec. So I think that that's the completely opposite direction, and I think that Charles is somebody who unites, somebody who will bring us together. Background as a pharmacist, so he understands the realities of the healthcare system. Former head of the Fédération des Chambres de Commerce du Québec, so understands that regions have their own particularities, but also the economy behind all of that. Because the Quebec Liberal Party has always been the party of the economy, and we want to generate revenue so that we can redistribute them in services. So that's always been the QLP's MO, and that's what I think Charles is going to be able to bring us back to.
That's amazing. We had a great turnout yesterday. Charles really brings people together. I'm not like a religious person by all, but I do believe like when I say someone, sometimes you're reincarnated from a past life. I do feel that Charles is a bit of a reincarnation of the late Brian Mulrooney with Robert Bourassa. He has a way of bringing people together. He has a way of keeping those relationships. And that's why, Darcy McGee, you better vote. This is your chance. Charles will speak for the Jewish community. He will speak for the Iranian diaspora. He brings people together. He brought me in the fold. That's why I'm talking to Liz right now. That's why I'm involved with the QLP, because I believe in Charles Millard and the team he has.
Yeah, so do I, and I'm really looking forward to having him as our leader and going into an election year, because I think that we have a lot of good ideas and proposals to bring to the Quebec population. We pay more taxes than anywhere in North America. We need services that are at the same quality as that.
I do believe that, and that's where, like, you know, as I said, I've spoken to you off air about like my views. Like, yes, I vote federally conservative, but I'm what you would call like a progressive conservative in the way, like, I don't care what your orientation is. I don't care pay your taxes. That's all I care about. It's on the record, okay? So, but the thing is, Liz, you just said it yourself about the social services. Our social services are still in the mindset of 1996 now. We're in 2026. So how do you feel Charles would help revamp without like tearing it down and damaging it? How do you feel Charles Millard leadership would help improve and rebuild the already expended system, for lack of a better term?
Well, one of the things that he mentioned yesterday was that he wants to do a summit on education. I went to public school when I was a teenager,
So did
30 years ago. And my son went to, my older son went to public school for secondary one, and I was very disappointed to see how much public school had changed in the period of 30 years. And our kids are the future. Our kids deserve an education where they feel supported, if they have special needs, where they have support staff, they have the services that they need, that there's consistency. My son had 4 different teachers in a year.
That's not
in one
good.
class. No, so there was never, you start over every time. By the time the teacher gets to know the students, the teacher is gone, and again, you start all over again. I was very disappointed to see how much the quality of education, public education, had gone down since I went to school. So one thing that Charles said yesterday that I think resonates with everyone is it's not just about keeping kids from dropping out. We have to keep teachers from dropping out, because teachers do not feel encouraged.
No.
Teachers feel like all the responsibility is on them, and they could be doing something else, making way more money with less stress. So we have to give them an environment where they feel that they are valued. We have to empower them to be able to teach the next generation of kids and stop this exodus, because there's, I think, 25% of teachers leave the system within the first 5 years. And we're not going to be able to maintain our public education system.
Yeah, the look I just had, that was like, whoa, like that's not good. Because when I was a student, like, I mean, in high school and elementary school, the teachers, they felt great, they had like their benefits, they had the support they needed. But it just feels like when the reform, so I finished high school in 2009, and that's when the reform came in, if you remember, when Pauline, where the former premier, future to be Premier Pauline Marois, like destroyed everything, like for the whole education system in a way. Like, I don't like using that term, but like when I speak to those like who send their kids to French school or English school, the saying is, this is not the education that I had like years ago, where like I felt like I was getting value out of it that I could take into the workforce. It's like I can't help my kids with their homework because I don't understand what they're doing. Like, take, for example, Canadian history or Quebec history, as we get in Sec 4. They change it in such a way that it's so complicated. Like, one of my late mom's friends said, hey, like Drew finished like with an 86 on his exam back then. Maybe he could help. I saw the material and I was like, yeah, I can't help your kid here, man. I'm sorry. You better find someone else, because this is like, I did not learn this in Sec 4. Like, I could tell you what we learned. It was Samuel de Champlain, Papineau's Rebellion, the Battle of Montcalm, and Wolfe. And then we did we moved on to Confederation, and then we moved to a bit of the Duplessis era, and then we moved to the Quiet Revolution, and then up to René Lévesque and the Beau Risque, as it was known, and that was where we ended off at, basically. And now it's like they look at these like miscellaneous details, and I'm like, you're asking the wrong person, man. But when he's in CEGEP and doing world history, that hasn't changed. Come to me there, because at least they haven't reformed the CEGEP system.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, so it's obviously we see that there. Another thing too, Liz, is that, obviously you're in Darcy McGee. Heavily, it's known as the Jewish community there. But we also have a bit of an Iranian diaspora. You know, your colleague and wingwoman Desiree is in NDG, which has the biggest Iranian diaspora, but Darcy McGee still has its own diaspora too. And what have you seen with the protests that are going on, and with what people are telling you as an MP? Because I'm sure like you've received feedback, and you're also curious like what's going on, unless you're aware of the struggle that Iranians have gone through.
Yeah, well, we're getting a lot of people who are writing to us who are from the Iranian diaspora, who are asking us to support what the people in their country are going through. It's very courageous for the people who are in Iran to go into the streets. We know that since 1979, and it's really interesting when you see images of Iran pre-1979, so modern, so on the cutting edge, you know, women stylish, free, you know, dancing, and music, all of that, and then you see the images post-1979, and it's so much bleaker, and you know, women have to be covered up, and there's very little freedom of expression, there's very little freedom, if you will. So to see the courage of the Iranian people now to go into the streets and say, this is not the country that we want to live, this is not a government that represents us and represents our freedoms or is going to defend us, is really admirable on their part. And I think that you know, there's a movement now. Everybody, there's been protests since 1979, but this seems to be the one that's really taking on a lot of attention. And we see, you know, they cut the internet because they know that that is how people are mobilizing and how people are speaking to each other. I would love to see Elon Musk go in with Starlink and provide internet to everybody on the ground there, defying the government. And I would like to see, and you know, we've seen a lot of the international community speak up and encourage the Iranian people. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, we'd all like to see a change of regime, and we want to see the people who, you know, to be able to live their lives freely and the way that they wish to. So I encourage, and I have a lot of admiration for the Iranian population right now.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. And obviously, you know, like I'm on the ground too. I was at the protest. You know, I was always like I'm very active because I'm second generation via my late father. He was born in Iran. He came to Canada when he was 10 years old. So, you know, my great grandfather was taken hostage by the mullahs in '79 for being a Shah supporter, and it caused PTSD. Because like what this regime does, Liz, it's not just the physical trauma, which is insane when you hear stories from those in the diaspora when they say, this is what I went through, this is what, like, you know, like I went through under this regime because I spoke out or I didn't wear my hijab a certain way. But they also cause psychological trauma, where it's like you have my late dad, like, who's did not want to talk about being Iranian. Like he would say that, don't say you're Iranian. He's like, don't say it, like, you know, because he probably faced discrimination in '79, because a lot of the diaspora after the hostage crisis, they were deemed person non grata. In terms of like, you know, they're crazy, like, you know, and it's sad because the government is not the people are not their government. And, you know, a lot of Iranians have said that's not the right government. And it's nice to see now with the protests, they do have a leader. I mean, listen, depends who you ask, but I can tell you, because I'm on the ground, I speak to people, they are rallied behind the Shah's son, Reza Shah Pahlavi II. I know some are going to say, well, his father was a ... They don't care. I just want to say this right now. We don't care. We understand the past is the past. His son has been in exile. People are not their parents. He has said it time and time again. I want to do a transition for 2 years. I only want to be a healing factor for the people. They chant his name in the streets, and then we'll do a referendum. What the people choose, that's up to them. Whether it's constitutional monarchy or a secular democratic republic, whatever they choose, I have to accept. He goes, I'm here to make history. I'm not here to continue writing history. So, yeah.
And just to go to what you're saying, it's up to the Iranian people. It's not up to anybody else to judge who's the right person or who's not the right person. It's up to them. So whoever they judge is that person. They should be able to elect them and then, you know, go from there.
Exactly. As I said, look, we have a unifying figure right now, but as I said, it's up to the people at the end of the day. So that's the most important. And, you know, so it's obviously, you know, and because, you know, we're both Jewish, how do you, when you speak to the diaspora, obviously, you know, we had October 7th, and, you know, that's been a big, it's been like it's been like in a way our 9/11 in a way when you think of it. When you talk to those in the diaspora, do you feel like you're able to make connections with like what happened in October with their cause right now, and do you see like a unity between the Iranians and the fellow tribesmen and tribeswomen? Tribesmen and tribeswomen is a bit of a slang term for our people, just so you're aware.
Well, first, like in a lot of the events post October 7th, it was really nice to see a lot of people from the Iranian diaspora there. with the flags supporting Israel. Let's not forget that Hamas and Hezbollah are funded by the Iranian
They're trained
regime,
by them.
funded by them. So, and the same way that October 7th happened against the Israeli people, we've heard that there's been thousands of deaths in Iran over the last few weeks, and those are their own people. So it's not about protecting a culture or about protecting a heritage. It's about we want people to live in a certain way that we deem correct for them. We don't want people to enjoy going out and women being able to walk around freely, etc. So I think there are a lot of common points. We have the same enemy to a certain extent. And at the end of the day, whether it's the Israeli population or the Iranian population, you want to be able to live your life freely and, in a liberal state. So I think that we share that same fight of, fighting the right fight for ourselves against the Iranian evil regime. In this case.
Exactly. That's amazing. Obviously take it to a positive point. So you were in Japan. We got to talk about this. So you went last year. How much did it, 2 years ago, how much did it change your life?
It was amazing. My older son is actually the one who chose the destination, which was great because it got me to experience something that I wouldn't have necessarily. And he's been a big admirer of Japanese culture, whether it is the whole anime, whether it's food, whether it's art. So going there with him was an amazing experience. And it was so interesting to see just the subtle differences between here and there, how polite everyone is, how everyone, there's rules and everyone obeys those rules. There's no garbage cans everywhere. You carry your stuff with you. It was a way of life that is just so pure and so beautiful and appreciates everything. So it was really enlightening to see that way, that culture, and then come back here and see things through those lenses.
Yeah, especially like when you're in the metro, like when I'm on the train, like if someone, like I said, this is claustrophobia. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, that doesn't look that bad." Then I was like, give it a minute.
Yeah.
And then because I stay in, I know the stations inside out, like thanks to my memory. Like I stay in Ikebukuro. So we're on the train at one point, and then everyone just comes in. So then I was like, all right, Instagram story time. So I take the video, and I'm like, here you go. She's like, oh, I take that back now. I go, yeah. So don't ever say that the STM is worse, because the STM is good considered to the trains there when people are just packed in and.
Well, I like the videos of the conductors literally pushing them in like sardines so that the doors can close. It's a city of 45 million people too, which is another, coming from Montreal, where Greater Montreal is 4 million people, and then you go there and you just the size of the sidewalks and the size of the crosswalks, because you realize, they have 9 times our population, and you really get a sense of what having all those people is.
It's very different. I was in Tokyo this time. You did everything like I did 3 years ago in December. And I love Tokyo. I felt it was a bit too touristy at times, whereas like you hear too much English and you're like, great, I'm back home now. You go to Osaka, it's different. And what was your favorite spot in Japan?
Well, we only did Tokyo.
Okay.
Because my son's passport came in late.
Oh.
Yeah, it was when Passport Canada was still trying to figure all of that out. So we definitely plan on going. It's our big trip that we're planning in our minds to go back and to go to Osaka and to go to Kyoto. So what we did when we went to Japan is we did a different neighborhood every day.
Nice.
So it was really interesting to see, like Montreal, like every city, every neighborhood has its own vibe. Some more traditional, some more modern. We went to Mount Fuji. We went to Disney World. It was just a beautiful cultural awakening to see how different things were, but flowed so beautifully.
Amazing. Yeah, for me, I love, I stay in Ikebukuro because it's central, but next time I'm going to stay in Akihabara, and that's very dangerous for me. It's very dangerous.
A lot of money to spend.
Yeah, oh my.
A lot of anime stuff.
God, the stores, I'm just there, my friend, one of my friends was like, he's like, all you did was Akihabara every day? I was like, yes, because it was close by, yes. This was the shopping trip. The first time you're with a group, oh yeah, I'm going to see as much as I can with the group on their time. This time I was like, nah, I'm shopping. My time. I'm doing, but the third trip, I'm going to do all the experience cafes, like the pig cafe, the cat cafe, the shipping. They had an otter cafe. Did you know they had an otter cafe?
I know they have a capybara.
Yes.
One. I didn't know they had an otter one.
They have an otter cafe. I'm being serious, the people, they have these animal themed cafes, and you pick an otter, they have their names like Hachimo, Hachi, Ippo.
Well, I don't know if you saw it too. They have a restaurant now that is run It's all robot waiters.
Yes.
But the people who control the robot waiters are people who are on the autism spectrum.
Really?
So it's also really nice the way, I feel like they're a very respectful culture. They understand that everybody has their reality and everybody has their ability, and trying to allow everyone to be able to contribute to their fullest. So I think that's a beautiful message.
Very, very true. So, and how did Elon, because obviously, Elon is special needs, so that can be it can be challenging, to go from one routine to another. And this, how was it? How was his reaction to everything?
So I didn't go with him.
Okay.
I went only with his older brother.
Okay.
Because I wanted to spend some time with each of them.
Right.
So we kind of each did a trip.
That makes sense.
So he hasn't had the opportunity yet, but hopefully one day.
That's amazing. No, that's great, because that can be very difficult, with special needs, because especially I'm very lucky being high functioning, so I'm used to adapting. I know I don't look it, guys, but autism comes in many. It's why it's a spectrum. It comes in many shapes, forms, and colors. But I'm hopeful that he will be there. And I have to ask this though. So Sammy told me to ask you this. Apparently, during question period, when they were talking about Bill 2, you went at, I don't know if it was Geneviève Guilbeault or one of the other key CAC ministers, because you said they don't know what it's like having a son.
Yeah, that was to actually it's Minister Chantal Rouleau.
Okay.
Because about 2 years ago, so she's responsible for social solidarity, and about 2 years ago, she had a committee. So there was a list of certain diagnoses that if you were diagnosed with as a child, as soon as you were 18, you automatically received social solidarity. So you received some kind of revenue, and they took autism, amongst others, off of that list. And beyond that, Minister Rouleau, and I have a video of it, if you go on my my Twitter page, it's pinned to the top, where in Quebec City, she said, well, we removed it because autism is now treatable.
What?
So I went up to her personally after question period and asked and said, as the mother of a special needs child who will not be autonomous in their life, I would like you to explain to me how autism is now treatable. And she obviously she backtracked and tried to come up with this and tried to come up with that. But I found it really insulting for me, for you, for everybody out there, either who's on the spectrum or who knows somebody on the spectrum, to say that it's treatable and therefore they don't need to receive social solidarity. They can do the paperwork, blah, blah. She wound up reversing her position.
Good.
A few weeks later. And she wound up creating a special program where if you're autism 2 or 3, you will automatically get social solidarity. But yeah, I take that role I take that responsibility to heart, that when somebody says something stupid about something that they don't know about when they're talking about special needs, as a mother, I'm going to go and I'm going to rectify it.
Exactly. Yeah, same here. I'm the same way. The one thing that I hate too now is you have people going on TikTok and ChatGPT and saying, oh, I think I'm autistic or I'm diagnosed. No, get a diagnosis with an actual professional, please, because you're making people like me, her son, and anyone else that's on the spectrum look bad when you're a bad actor, especially, because it's very annoying when I see this. Well, ChatGPT said I could have this, or they go on TikTok. It's stop, stop, please, just stop. It's
absolutely,
it's an insult. It's an insult.
Yep.
It's and it hurts, because then what if you're a malicious actor and you're using that to do illicit activities and then try to cover it up? And we've seen this happen when someone gets caught, and that's why it's don't rely on technology. Please, technology is great. Please see an actual human professional for these kinds of diagnoses, right?
Yeah.
And what's your hope now? So obviously, we asked about it earlier. How are you feeling about 2026 representing Darcy McGee? Going into your second term, finally, you've had a great first year, it seems. People love you, like myself. I love her, even though at first I didn't know her. At the time, I gotta admit, I didn't vote for you at first because I didn't know who you were really. But now I know because I met you. Thank you, Sammy. And so I gotta say, how do you feel going into 2026 as the M&A and voice for Darcy McGee for your constituents?
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be, it's not going to be an easy year. We're going into an election, and we're going into an election with a referendum question on the ballot, which I was 16 when we went through the last referendum, and I remember sitting in front of the TV with my mom,
really
holding hands, heart pounding, wondering if, depending on the result, we might have to leave Quebec in the next few months and start all over again. And I don't want not just my kid to go through that. I don't want anybody in Quebec have to go through that. And like I was saying earlier, ever since Trump has arrived, countries are trying to create more allies and trying to unite. And the Parti Québécois wants us to isolate ourselves, within our own country. I think I'm very proud to be a Montrealer. I'm very proud to be a Quebecer. I'm very proud to be a Canadian. And I think that all of those things are intertwined. And I still don't understand the PQ's argument. What would be better today in Quebec if we were sovereign rather than being part of the Canadian, of Canada? And I don't see it. I think that it's a lot of pipe dreams. And I love my country. And I think that a lot of people are going to come. Look, when you look at the polls, there's about 38% of people who would say they'd vote for the PQ, but only 27% of them who say that they're for independence. So I think that there's a lot of people who could have their minds changed, because at the end of the day, they don't want a referendum, but also the QLP can't just campaign on that.
No.
We have to campaign on improving our healthcare system, improving our education system. Charles announced yesterday wanting to build 100,000 new housing units a year. Those are the things that keep people up at night. It's not language, it's not secularism, it's not all these fake divisions that the CAQ has created and the PQ is going to perpetuate. It's real world stuff. It's health, it's education, it's housing, it's transport. That's what I think a QLP government is going to offer to people, and that's why they'll vote for us.
Amazing. Well, Liz, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. It was great to have you finally, because we've been wanting to do this, and it was supposed to be yesterday, but when duty calls, we have to go support our future to be leader. And I say future to be because he will be the leader, and I'm voting for Charles Millard. I've always been a friend of Charles Millard and whatnot. This is a big plug-in for him, so you got to pardon me. But make sure to vote for her in, when's the election date again?
It should be October 5th.
October 5th. Should be announced, and make sure if you're in Darcy McGee, vote for Liz. I'll be volunteering. I'm giving her my platform today. She might come on again where maybe I do like a walk-in vlog where like we door knock with Ariane and wherever.
Sure.
Your team is great, by the way. I love. Shout out to Ariane, and who's the other two people? There's like
Alex and Jonah.
Alex and Jonah too. So shout out to the whole team. You guys are amazing. Thank you for making this happen. Where can people connect with you?
On Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and you can also find my contact information on the National Assembly site. If you have any questions or comments, please give us a call, send us an email, or you can just show up. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. And guys, I'm voting for Liz Prass. If you don't vote for Liz Prass, that's your call. But anyway, she's the voice of Darcy McGee. I'm voting for her. Come on, like look how awesome she is. Look at the vibe we have when this interview comes out. Like these are the conversations we need to have. Liz, it was a pleasure to have you on. I really want to thank you. And you have my support for 2026.
Thank you so much.
It's on record too.
Always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to doing this again.
Sounds good. Make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe button to the Drewsperience, the voice of Kyokushin Karate, Canadian politics, a voice for a free Iran, post-Islamic Republic, and anime and such. I'm adding new stuff every time. I'm a man of many interests. I'm like, that's how I am. But make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much, Drew. That was great. Great conversation.
Oh, honestly, you were...